family's had this land for almost 150 years. The only thing I ever wanted was taken from me.
This a wellness check? It's more like a no man left behind kind of thing. I know you got your own demons to conquer, but jumping back into the fire is gonna do you well.
And I'll get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Welcome to the US Marshals.
So Luke, you know, when we left Kayce, he was in a good place. I know that Yellowstone, there was a lot of talk about spin-offs and potential extensions of the story. As that series was wrapping, what were you thinking about Kayce Dutton and maybe his future story?
Well, first of all, I thought the way that Taylor wrote the end for him in Yellowstone was perfect. You know, it's sort of what he had always been fighting for. And his little, his own little ranch and just some cattle. He wants to cowboy, he wants to have his family, and he rode off into the sunset. It was really beautiful. And, as the sort of talk about spinoff started coming around, I know that Kelly and Cole got the call and an offer for their spinoff before I had heard anything. So I thought maybe, they're going to get theirs and that's it for Kayce. And I was okay with that. Like I was, felt like his story was over and I was ready to let it go. And then right around the time we were filming those last episode of Yellowstone, I got the call and they said, we want to do something kind of different with Kayce. We want to do a procedural show. And I will admit I did not know what that meant. And once I found out what it meant, I thought, this is kind of strange and I don't understand it because I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen sort of a spin-off where you completely change the format. But little by little, as I started to hear the pitch and the story, I got really excited because I realized there was something there.
Can't ever shared he was buddies with Kayce Dutton. Something special about him?
Legends I heard on the res make him have to be Rambo and a Stetson.
Does any of this ring a bell?
No, but I dig his hat.
When we meet Kayce at the beginning of Marshals, his life has gone under a huge upheaval. I don't want to spoil it for people, but why was that necessary to kind of take the character in a brand new direction?
I just don't know. It's like I said, everything was so perfect. He was happy, which we'd never seen Kayce be before. And I think there really was no reason for him to change anything or sort of upset the status quo if everything remained the same, and there would really have been nothing to watch. Nobody wants to watch a family be happy. That's unfortunately not very dramatic and not very interesting, which is why I just thought there should be no more show. But when I heard that idea, I was a little brokenhearted because I love Kelsey and I loved working with her. To this day, best actor I've ever worked with. And yeah, I was kind of sad to see that storyline go, but also realized that this is a motor now for Kayce to have to make some big changes and try some new things.
Everybody's got to be dialed in. Rough terrain, wild animals, and two violent gangs.
30 seconds.
Fitting in already, cowboy.
We never really explored Kayce's past life on Yellowstone as a Navy SEAL. Now we're going to get to see him use those skills in a new way in Marshals. Was that an aspect of the character that you were kind of always hoping that you'd get to unpeel and uncover a little bit more of?
Absolutely. I think that was, as I was thinking about anything more, I thought there's sort of a gold mine there and that sort of backstory and his time in the teams and there's just so much that people didn't get to see about his backstory. Obviously, in Yellowstone, there was a lot of flashbacks, and Kayce tended not to be in those. So I thought we can use that, and then also the skill set of that. Clearly, it's a very certain type of person with an amazing skill set that we could actually put to use in this new show, and we did, and it has created sort of an action show, which is really fun.
How's this going to appeal to people who never watched Yellowstone?
The goal was that it would, that, whether you watched Yellowstone or not, you could start here and be just fine. Also the goal is if you loved Yellowstone, there's going to be aspects of this that you love, but it is a very different show. And I think someone that's just coming in completely, clean and had never seen Yellowstone before, I think you'll be pretty gripped just by, an incredible cast. All the marshals that Kayce meets are just wonderful actors, and there's a lot of action, and it's fast-paced, and, it's just a really classic good guys versus bad guys kind of thing.
Montana's been infiltrated by the most violent criminal network in this hemisphere.
Where's the deal going down?
Just over the Wyoming border, a place called the Zone of Death.
Taylor Sheridan, he's created just some of the best television. I mean, you got to work alongside him on Yellowstone. What is it about the worlds that he created that have just, Yellowstone, like the viewership globally, just massive. The worlds that he created that just grabbed people.
I just think Taylor has a really unique voice. He just has a way and a worldview about him that's different than what we're used to seeing. Sometimes Hollywood as an industry can be sort of, you get a lot of the same, right? And I think something about Taylor's worlds were very fresh, and it's something we hadn't seen. I think, also Westerns are such a huge part of cinema history, and every once in a while they kind of come in ebb and flows, and it was time for maybe a Western revival a little bit.
Luke, did you go back and rewatch Yellowstone to prepare yourself to play Kayce in Marshals? Did you do any of that? Because I know you weren't a big fan of watching it the first time around.
No, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 episodes of Yellowstone. I don't like watching myself. I just find it kind of distracting from the process of making the thing. They're too, for me, it's sort of pointless just because, if I'm working on something and then I get self-conscious about it, that might end up affecting the way that I work, which, I don't know. I just feel like it wouldn't be a good thing for me. I have watched the first 3 episodes that they had out of this show, so I've seen the same amount of Marshals as I have of 5 seasons of Yellowstone. But I think I'm going to cap it there. I think I've seen enough. I don't think I need to watch any more Marshals.
Is Taylor created, with this Yellowstone universe, we're going to see all these different spinoffs. Has he created a universe, with no end?
Yeah, I wonder. I think the studio and network would love that to be the case. They could keep it going. But he's not the kind of guy who's just going to, throw a bunch of stuff out in the world just to make a buck. I think it's got to make sense, and he's got to care about it and think it's actually going to be something that's good. And I think that's why we all know to expect quality when you hear his name.
Luke, you said you liked the way Kayce's storyline wrapped up in Yellowstone. What did you think of the overall ending? I know endings are always tricky, especially for popular shows. How did you think it all wrapped up?
The original show? I thought it was great. I thought he landed the plane perfectly, especially in the face of all of the unexpected, things that continued to unfold as we made the show and went on into later seasons. And, there was a lot of politics and drama and things that, were sort of happening against his will that he had to write around, and I think given all that, it couldn't have been more perfect.
So I know from talking to some of your castmates on Yellowstone, some of them had to do a cowboy camp to be part of that show. So did you have to do a Marshals camp to be?
We did a sort of a truncated version. It wasn't quite the week-long thing that we would do with Taylor. Mostly because a lot of these people were cast the week before we started. This show came together really fast once it came together, so we just didn't have time to do that. But that being said, we have some great wranglers, and the barn is always available to us on days off or on weekends, and they had us definitely riding. And kind of one of the things, though, about this show is none of the Marshals were supposed to know how to ride. That's sort of the gag in the beginning, is that this cowboy comes out of nowhere and throws them all on a horseback, and so a bit different in that sense.
Is there a trick for keeping the cowboy hat on? It never flies off.
It has flown off. I've done it. The thing is, we get another take. But it's definitely make sure it's all the way down on your head and then it fits right. And there's kind of an angle you can hold your head at when you're going really, really fast. If you tilt back a little bit, the wind catches it and it's gone.
Yellowstone was such a, I don't want to say comfort watch, but it was kind of a comfort watch for a lot of people. Luke, what's your kind of comfort watch when you want to wind down and watch something?
I've been talking a lot about that today. Actually, we were talking about reality shows, but Beast Games is like just like I don't know because if I'm trying to unwind, if I watch actors acting, then I think about my job and I think about what they're doing and I overanalyze and so if I just want to like numb out, maybe a reality show. I've been watching Beast Games. I love that show.
Cool. So fans are going to hear some of your music in Marshals. You've got an album coming out in April. What's it like for you to kind of balance those two worlds?
Yeah, it's just been pretty organic. I feel like, you know, anytime that I do have time to do music or tour or write or, you know, record, then I do. And then when it comes time to go film this, then I, you know, have to do that for a while. But music's just always been something that it's like a buddy that I can take with me anywhere. You know, I can travel with the guitar and write in my hotel room or, you know, when I'm at home or so. It kind of just organically fits together in a nice way.
Before I let you go then, how many seasons are we hoping to get out of this?
Oh man, I don't know. You got to think. So the first season of Marshals is my 8th year as Kayce. So this could end up being a long time playing this guy. But if there was one character I'd like to do it with, it's Kayce Dutton.
Personal agenda is always a service in some form of vengeance.
Well, Yellowstone's gone. Same for most of my family. And as for vengeance, days still young.